Hey everyone! So let's talk about something that can be a huge, and I mean huge, source of frustration if you're living with MS. Foot drop. It's draining, it's annoying, but what if you could actually do something about it? That's what we're diving into today, a real, practical exercise guide to help you take back some of that control. All right, here's our game plan. First, we're going to break down what's actually happening with foot drop. Then, we'll get into why exercise is the new way to tackle this. It's super empowering. We'll even meet the specific muscle that's our main character in this story. After that, I'll walk you through a step-by-step plan you can actually use. And finally, we'll zoom out and see how this all fits into a bigger, more holistic strategy. Sound good?
Okay, so let's get right into it. To understand foot drop, you gotta understand the why behind it. The easiest way to think about it is like this. Your nerves are the electrical wires of your body. MS, well, it can mess with the insulation on those wires. And when that happens, the signals from your brain to your muscles, they can get a little fuzzy, slowed down, or just scrambled. And that's where mobility challenges, like foot drop, come into play.
And one of the most common and frankly most annoying results of that fuzzy signal is foot drop. I mean, the definition is simple, right? You have trouble lifting the front of your foot. But the real problem, the thing that impacts your day-to-day, it's not just about the weakness. It's that constant worry about tripping. But even more than that, it's how it forces your body into this awkward way of walking that just completely saps your energy.
And this kicks off this really vicious cycle. You see it here. Walking becomes this huge effort, which makes you tired. So naturally, you want to move less. But then, moving less can actually make that muscle weakness worse. It's a total catch-22, a downward spiral. But here's the good news, and it's a big deal. A targeted exercise plan is designed to do one thing and one thing only, to break that cycle.
So how in the world do we break that cycle? Well, this is where things get really interesting. We have to shift our entire mindset, moving away from just resting and toward proactive movement. Honestly, this change in thinking is one of the most hopeful and empowering things to happen in MS management. It's all about taking charge. I mean, seriously, there's been a complete 180-degree turn in the medical advice here. For years, the thinking was, conserve your energy, don't push yourself. It all came from this fear of making symptoms worse. But now, we know better. The science is totally clear. Regular, moderate, structured exercise isn't just safe. It's one of the absolute best things you can do to improve your strength, your balance, and just your overall quality of life. And here is the coolest part. This is what's happening under the hood. This isn't just about making a muscle bigger. No, it's neurological. Every single time you do one of these specific targeted movements, you're basically giving your brain a little nudge. You're encouraging it to find new, clearer routes, new neural pathways to connect with that muscle. It's this amazing process called neuroplasticity. You are literally helping to rewire the connection between your brain and your body. How cool is that?
Okay, with that incredible idea in mind, let's get specific. It's time to meet the hero of our story. The one muscle we're going to focus on to directly push back against foot drop.
It's called the tibialis anterior. And all that is the muscle that runs right down the front of your shin. Its main job is something called dorsiflexion, which is just a fancy way of saying lifting your foot up. But here's the thing, it has two crucial jobs. It's not just about lifting your toes so you don't trip. A strong tibialis anterior also controls the foot as it comes back down. You know that foot slap sound you might hear when you walk? That's a classic sign of weakness in this muscle. So strengthening it helps with both lifting and landing.
All right, let's get to the good stuff, the how-to. We're going to walk through a progressive exercise plan made to wake up and strengthen that key muscle. Now, the most important thing I'm going to say here is this: start slow. Focus on doing it right, not doing a lot, and only move on to the next level when you feel totally steady and safe, okay? But before we jump in, let's be real about the common hurdles with MS, right? Fatigue is number one. It's real, so listen to your body. A fantastic tip is to have two plans: a full version for your good energy days and a shorter, simpler one for those low energy days. Something is always better than nothing. If heat is your kryptonite, make sure you're in a cool room, sipping cold water and taking breaks. And spasticity, or muscle tightness, Gentle stretching before, during, and after is your best friend. It's non-negotiable.
So we start off seated. Why? Because it takes balance completely out of the equation, so you can just focus on that one muscle. So, step 1, simple toeless. Just sit with your feet flat and lift your toes up, keeping your heels on the ground. Easy enough. Step 2, if that's a struggle, you can give yourself a little help. Loop a towel or a resistance band under your foot and gently help pull it up. This just helps guide the movement. Then, step 3, we build some strength. Anchor a band to a heavy table leg or something, and now you're pulling your foot up against the resistance. That's where the work happens. Okay, once you feel really solid with the seated stuff, you can level up to standing, but always use a wall or a counter for support. Safety first. So you can start with basic toe raises, leaning your back against a wall. Then we introduce something called negatives. This is so good for building control. You rise up onto your toes, and then you very, very slowly lower your heels back down. Count to 5. That slow, controlled lowering, that's what builds fine motor control, not just brute strength. And finally, heel walking. Holding on for support, you just walk forward on your heels. This starts to translate that new strength into a real, functional walking movement.
So here's a quick summary of what we just covered. You can pause here if you want to take it all in. But you can see the logic, right? We start with just waking the muscle up, activation. Then we move on to building real strength. After that, we focus on controlling the movement. And finally, we put it into practice with a functional exercise. It's a really smart, logical path from weakness to confidence.
Now look, strengthening that one muscle, the tibialis anterior, is incredibly powerful. It really is. But it's just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. To get the absolute best results, we've got to zoom out and think about a whole body strategy.
Think of these other exercises as the all-star support team for your main player. Your body is a kinetic chain. Everything is connected. If your calves are super tight, they can literally pull your foot down, fighting against what you're trying to do. So we stretch them. If your balance is shaky, everything feels harder, so we need to train that too. And your core, your abs and back, that is the rock-solid foundation for all stable movement. It all has to work together.
It's also really important to know that exercise doesn't have to be the only tool in your toolbox. It works even better when it's paired with other incredible options. For example, an AFO brace gives you that physical support to hold your foot in the right position. And FES devices, those are amazing. They give the nerve a tiny, smart electrical nudge at just the right moment when you're walking to help that muscle contract. These things can be absolute game changers.
And you know, this brings us to what might be the single most important message of this whole explainer. The information we've talked about is meant to empower you, to give you hope and a plan. But its true power, that's unlocked when you take this information and you collaborate with your physical therapist or your doctor. They can figure out the specific reason for your walking challenges and create a plan that is tailor-made just for you.
So, I'm going to leave you with a challenge, a question to think about. Based on everything we've just discussed, what is one specific question you can write down right now and bring to your doctor or PT this week? It could be about negatives, about FES, about stretching, anything. Because taking that next step, asking that question, that is how real change begins. Thanks so much for joining me.